Hey everybody, sorry a couple minutes late. Thanks for joining. I'm going to go through the PMK solution. Obviously these are our weekly webinars and I appreciate everyone taking the time to learn a little bit more about the product. You want to hit the first slide, Melissa. Melissa is running webinar again for us. We have Paul Burden, our Director of Software on, Dominic Adabil is on, heads up our conceptual design team, obviously involved with the development of this product and product set. A little bit about Meridian. We've been doing self-service since '99, so over 20 years now. Full production facilities in Aberdeen, North Carolina. We manufacture self-service solutions for many large clients, small clients alike. A lot of good partners out there. They're obviously selling this product through many different channels. We have full metal fabrication facility. We are ISO 9001:2015 certified. We are also UL self-certified facility. This device is actually going through UL at the moment. So we'll keep you updated on our product page where you can find a lot of updates. It's getting updated just about daily with different questions that come in. Obviously do a lot with FCC, HIPAA, ADA, and then our full software development department in Mississauga, Canada. Okay, next slide. So the PMK solution currently shipping in the freestanding version that you see here. We do have the wall mount, the countertop mount, and some other solutions coming out. We will add those to the product page once we're shipping. The initial demand has been so massive that we've just been shipping one skewed product just for packaging simplicity, assembly simplicity, and just getting these out the door. So thousands and thousands of these units shipping out, coming in, and we appreciate everyone's patience. So what it does, obviously temperature verification, facial identification. We do have threshold alarms on the device that can be disabled. It's a visual and audio based alarm that I said can be turned off. We have a powder coated and anodized aluminum finish on both pedestal and countertop configurations, which you'll see, I think, in the next slide. So, or I guess the one after this, this is the pedestal graphic options that you see on here. We're currently not shipping with graphic options. We do have full graphic capabilities in-house, but as most of the orders, or at least the orders that we're asking to be smaller size, so we can get these in the hands of everyone for testing, validation, etc. For the larger runs, 100 or more, 1,000 or more units, we can do the graphics and ship them with the graphics applied. Next slide. Which I think, yeah, so there's the countertop version. Is finished, the design is done. Don't have the packaging that we need, or run out of the packaging we need, so that one is not shipping at the moment, but can be very soon. So if you wanted to order that one, let us know. And the current lead time is about 4 weeks. We're trying to bring that in, and that unit will be shippable at that time. Next slide. So the software side of this, and obviously want to get to the questions as quick as we can. We did manage to get all the questions in at the top of the hour, the last one. The other few we have not been able to get all the questions in, so we'll get through this pretty quick. So we have a board level solution, currently Android based. We are working on a Windows solution as well. Non-touch screen, obviously attached with the camera and the thermal sensor. It does have Wi-Fi and LAN connectivity. We do have FCC and C certification. Again, we are running through UL. 0.5C, 0.9F temp variants, which we're seeing better than that, but that's our published standard. Ability to recognize up to 30,000 faces in the local database of this. And then the voice prompts that we mentioned earlier for temperature validation, putting the mask on and off, etc. So next slide. So a little bit on the back end. So obviously you have the administration panels that do a lot of different things. Again, all that information can be found on the product page. We are updating that. We are also building out a portal for resellers to log into, clients to log into, that really goes into more depth of the functionality, obviously upcoming functionality, videos, tutorials, how-tos, startup guide, all of the stuff that ships with the unit, all the details are on that, will be on that portal. Also in there, we'll have a Q&A area, and we'll have a forum where you can ask questions. They'll be answered and then published. And we even have some of our resellers and partners that have offered to chip in and answer questions that they may have come across in the deployment of these units. So what it does, obviously, body temperature test we've talked about. You can calibrate that. It's calibrated out of the box for most environments. If you're in a normal air-conditioned environment, you should be good to go. We've seen that you don't really have to calibrate, even at a temperature up to high 90s, 100 degrees. The alarm threshold, you can set that in C or F. And body temperature alarm, again, you can turn that on or off. It is quite loud. And you can also choose to have mask detection on. When you are registering people for facial recognition, you should obviously do that without the mask, but it will do facial recognition with the mask in place. Stranger mode, obviously with that, you'll deny stranger access if that is off. If you want to have it on where you're just literally testing people's temperatures, allowing them in the facility, you can do that with stranger mode. Okay, next slide. So here's a little bit on the facial recognition piece. Easy to register people. You do register them at the device currently. Once we have the M0 manage piece, you'll be able to share that database through multiple devices. Right now, it is a local RAN solution at each device. So you would need to register people at each device if you wanted them to check in at multiple devices in different areas. So typical information, name, staff visitor, expiration date. So if you've got people visiting the plant, visiting your facility, they may be there for a few days, you can register them in the system and give them a pass that basically will expire at the date and time that you select. And obviously it holds the picture in there as well. So what we have coming at the end of this month, we hope to have at the end of this month, is, and if not early June, is our M0 Manage, which is our current management system for self-service devices. Obviously, this has been in use for, well, many years, and obviously updates happening constantly to this. We're working on a skimmed down version of this because you don't need all the functionality that our full-blown M0 Manage has for these devices. So you'll be able to add and edit your list of employees, import lists, do reporting, send out alerts. So if the system's down, if you want temperature alerts to be emailed or sent out as a text message, you can do that here. You can set different levels of user interface. So if you want someone to not have access to certain areas, you can set users up to have different access based on their user rights. Obviously, a lot of reporting out of here, all the data coming in, you can report any way you would like and set standard reports or do custom reports. And next slide. So we'll jump right into the questions. Melissa, you want to kick that off?
Sounds good. All right, so our first question asks, what is the security of the app on the kiosk?
Well, Paul can jump in here with a little bit, but it's basically locked down. So as the unit boots up, it boots straight into the application. The only way to get out of the application is by having the administrator password and also the mouse that's hooked up to this unit remotely. So it is a wireless mouse that's tied into this particular system. So you need to bring that mouse, hit the center button, and then put in the administrator password, and you can get out of the application. Paul, anything else you want to touch on around that?
Yeah, it's basically just the password. So it is an embedded chip that the data is stored. So it's a microchip on the actual device itself. So it's pretty well stored inside that device.
Yep. Okay, thanks, Paul.
The next question asks, when will the data at rest on the kiosk be encrypted? What is the date the software version with this protection will roll out?
I don't have a specific date on that right now, but we are looking at it. I mentioned that in the previous web conference. When I know more, we'll release information.
Next question asks, is it possible to disable or turn off the kiosk ports? Are the USB access points locked behind a panel so that no one could put their own thumb drive in?
Yeah, so they're locked away inside the enclosure. You actually need a special tool to get inside the enclosure. So the only way to get to those ports are by literally disassembling the chassis.
Okay. Next question asks, how is the data encrypted at rest on the cloud, the M0 Manage product?
We have a hosting facility, which is SOC 1 to certified. It has encrypted data volumes that we use. Additionally, we have an encrypted database, so all data is encrypted at rest. Also in transport, it's encrypted with TLS 1.3 encrypted data stream.
Next question asks if this is an on-premise solution or a hosted solution.
It can be either. So initial release, well, I guess, Paul, once it's released, it could be either right out of the gate. So we have clients that have our M0 Manage loaded in their environment, but I would say the majority of our clients have it hosted, but it can be a local installed solution as well.
Next question asks, is there an online demo of M0 Manage?
Yeah, so we have some videos. I don't know, Melissa, if they're linked to the product page, but I think the software page has some videos, or maybe our YouTube channel has some videos, but you know where they reside, Melissa?
There is an M0 Manage video on the M0 Manage page on our website, but I can add that to the product page.
Okay, perfect.
Next question asks if we have done third-party validation.
Well, yes, so we've got obviously some certifications already. We're going through UL, and our software has been through many third-party validations over the years. So we've got somewhat of a who's who list of people that we've been through their audits, and obviously we won't name names on this call or this forum, but we've been through a lot of different audits with a lot of different large companies for many different software applications. So this one in particular, I don't think we've gone through any third party other than the testing of the units itself, but we can certainly provide you more information and I think we have a security document with a lot of generic information about what we've done for different projects in the past with M0 Manage.
Yes, that's available to download on the product page.
Okay.
Next question asks about the mean time between failures.
I don't know if we have that published. I mean, it's a 3 to 5 year life cycle expectancy out of this, although we have that, we say that with all of our self-service devices. We've got units that have been in the field well over a decade in their original configuration at some very large retailers out there. Our product's still out there after being deployed over 10 years ago. So we do build products to last. Our partner on the development side of this, we've used for a lot of single board type computing solutions, some computer controlled lock solutions, some other solutions over the last decade or so. So again, it is, you know, we do try and ensure we use the best quality components we can for any of our self-service solutions, including this one.
Next question asks, what is the turnaround time on return to depot repairs?
The standard is 30 days. You can have SLAs to do obviously hot swap, parts pool, on-premise parts pools, a lot of different SLAs available. We've got a team here that's all they work on for different deployments that we do, not just with these, but obviously self-service in general. So if you want something other than the standard return to depot warranty, just contact the team and we can create a custom SLA for you. We also have partners that specialize in that as well, that are resellers of this solution, that do depot repair, on-site repair, 4-hour on-site, next day on-site, etc. But we'd be happy to, you know, chat or email you some information of some different SLAs that are available.
Next question asks if Meridian will handle service calls and if we work with third-party service organizations.
We do. We work with quite a lot of third-party service organizations. We have our standard support hours are 8:30 to 5:30 Eastern Standard Time, 5 days a week. We do have 24/7 service and support available. Again, that's typically written in a custom SLA for a client. again, we can get that information. But we do work with lots of the service and support companies that are out there and that already have all this product in their hands and have their clients evaluating it as well.
Next question asks if testing is done before the unit ships.
Yeah, absolutely. So every unit goes through the same checks that our normal self-service devices do. So we have a full QA process. We can get you details. This one's quite simple, quite honestly, compared to what we normally produce. So it's a pretty quick process, but they're all tested, configured, and then tested again before they leave the dock.
Next question asks, could you please describe how the kiosk can be configured to open a door or gate?
Yeah, so we're doing that here. We can demo that on site. We have other clients doing it with the standard relay that's on there. There is the YGAN controller on there as well. But the standard relay we use, easy to hook up to trigger a lock, a gate, a turnstile. I think Paul would do it on LED lights. We've used it for a few other things. So essentially, if you get the green light, meaning someone passes the facial recognition and the temperature, or if the temperature is the only thing you're checking and they pass that, it will trigger a signal to the relay, which then will obviously trigger a lock or gate or turnstile or whatever it may be. We have it triggering an LED light on the unit as well at our facility.
The next question asks, what is the resolution of the IR imager?
It's 30 by 30, Paul, isn't it? For the if you're talking about the infrared temp sensor, Hyman, it's a German manufacturer of the products, and it's a 30 by 30. I know we have another model that we've used in the past, an 18 by 3 for some different solutions that we've done in the past, but this one is a 30 by 30 pixel. Is that right, Paul? I know you've got
32 by 32.
32, I was close. 32 by
32 off, yeah.
Yeah.
Next question asks, what is the calibration procedure and how often does it need to be performed?
Well, we also have the calibration equipment. It's not inexpensive equipment, but we haven't had to calibrate any of the units that we have in our facility or in the facilities that we manage. Some hospitals, some electric companies, power companies, they stay very, very stable. If they're in a very volatile environment, and again, where you deploy these really equates to the success of any self-service device, not just these are outdoor devices, but if it's in a somewhat stable environment, then calibration really isn't needed at all. But you have the ability to do that, obviously, in the admin field. So if you're in a hot environment, cold environment, you can calibrate and adjust accordingly.
Next question asks, can you please describe the difference between full M0 Manage and the Lite version that will be managing these kiosks?
Yeah, so the full version, and people that have the full version, because we've had this question a lot with our existing client base, can they use it for these devices? And they can. There's just a lot of functionality in M0 Manage with payment technology, tax technology, a lot of technology this doesn't need. So really, it's just a matter of kind of turning those off. Or Paul, I mean, if I'm kind of describing that the right way, there's just a lot of functions that the full-blown M0 Manage has that this just will not use or ever use. So it's a simplified interface. I don't know what else we're adding to it.
With the ability to edit the employee list and do some bulk imports, but it's more focused on this particular PMK solution.
Yeah, and we have two versions, or at least two login options for M0 Manage. We kind of have the web interface where you're kind of maybe non-IT team would log in like myself. I go in there, you've got green lights and orange lights and red lights. It's very easy to use, very intuitive. The full M0 Manage is a lot more IT focused, so a lot more powerful, a lot more reporting you can do. Sending out jobs, scheduling jobs, that kind of thing. So I'm guessing it kind of falls between the two, Paul, as far as the interface and what you see on there compared to the full-blown M0 Manage. So a little more focused, a little cleaner, a little easier to navigate, and a lot of the stuff you don't need is not kind of cluttering your area.
Next question asks, are you still targeting May 29th as a completion date for M0 Manage Lite?
Still the target date, absolutely. Doing all we can to meet that date. Obviously, as with any software release, the chance of it could push out into early June. But that is still the target date, and we hope to meet that, yes.
Next question asks if voice prompts can be used to ask if the person has been associated with anyone infected with COVID-19.
Great question. So the Windows version will have a lot of flexibility this one doesn't have, although we are looking at some enhancements in the application. Our Android team are obviously making updates and changes all the time to different Android applications, not just this one, obviously, but a possibility, although I don't think we've built this with a microphone. So it could be something that we add as a future device. It certainly will be something that we will have in the Windows-based solution. We're partnered with Intel on that and developing that as quickly as we can, because obviously we have a lot more screen sizes and things that will work on, which a lot of people are looking for.
Next question asks, does stranger mode still utilize facial recognition?
Yeah, so stranger mode just allows a stranger to come through, but it will still log. So like our employees are on the system, it will still log our employee and check them in essentially and do a timestamp. But at the same time, it will, allow a stranger to use the unit. I think, is that correct, Paul? I know we've made some.
It's the difference between recognition and authentication. So if you're using the employee aspect, it will need to authenticate the employee against a database of existing known employees. For the recognition part, it just needs to know that there's a face in front of the unit in order to trigger the thermal sensor to operate. That's when the measurement is taken. So it's waiting for a face to wake the device up and then take the thermal sensor sample.
Okay.
Next question asks, if there is more than one entrance to the same building, can the list of people who are allowed to be admitted be tied to the same database?
So with M0 Manage, the answer to that question is yes. Currently, they're standalone. So we registered our team at 3 different devices at 3 different entrances that we have. And currently, Paul, I believe with the current app, that's the way to do it. I know we're looking at an import feature that we're still playing with on our beta version here, but is that something that we could have on the standalone device, or is that something that you would always need M0 Manage for?
Yeah, as it stands, it would require Manage to do a batch import because the images need to be formatted and verified first prior to being distributed to the devices. So that's something the Manage function will take care of. The standalone version, you need to take a picture at the device. But yeah, if you have multiple devices, you'd definitely be wanting to look at some sort of centralized option.
Okay.
Next question asks, can you walk through the process for requesting a service or warranty return? Would a customer call you first? Who pays the freight for returns?
Freight for return is by the customer. Freight back is by us. We have a service email specifically for an RMA, a service request. Our service team will get in touch, do some quick tier 1 kind of questions, answers over the phone, and then give you an RMA number to get that back in. Obviously, if you have a different SLA in place, that will change a little bit, but that's the standard operating procedure for standard warranty.
Next question asks, what level of IT knowledge or support is required to successfully utilize the kiosk?
Another great question. So the good news is very, very little. So we have got hotel owners, restaurant owners, retail owners, very, very large companies, very, very small companies, people with one, people that have, well, that want hundreds, that may only have 10 or 20 or 30 right now. Very, very easy. So again, anyone that's used to doing anything on your phone, even whether it's Android, Apple phone, then you can navigate through this and set it up. It's super easy. As I mentioned earlier, the portal that we're setting up will have all the features and functionality and tutorials that you would ever need to set this up. Obviously, if you get stuck after looking at that, you can contact us and we'll be happy to help. But it's really, really easy. I've got a lot of our initial beta testers within probably a 20-mile radius of us here that have little to no IT background, that after looking at the startup guide, we're up and running immediately.
Next question asks, does it ship with the wireless keyboard and mouse?
It does, yes.
Next question asks, will the kiosk support employee self-health declaration forms?
Not currently, so it's not currently tied to anything but the standalone device. With M0 Manage and our APIs that we'll be putting together, you'll be able to tie into a lot of different systems. So if they scan, get the facial recognition authentication that you want and the temperature check you want, you could have that information pushed into another system that can obviously give you whatever information or output you desire.
Next question asks, is the solution FDA 510K compliant, or do you plan to apply?
Yeah, we're actually working with FDA on that. So they're involved obviously in clearing some of our technology so we can put all these together in North Carolina. And we are looking at that right now. Obviously in the current environment, there's some things in place for the FDA to help us get these things to market a little faster. We're not looking for full FDA approval. Obviously, that is not full FDA approval because this is not a medical device. We're certainly not marketing it or selling it as a medical device. In fact, there's statements to that effect on the unit itself. But yes, that is something that we are actively working with the FDA and a consulting group on.
Next question asks, how many facial images can the device store?
Paul, I think it's 30,000 in its standard configuration. Is that correct?
That's right, 30,000.
Next question asks, do we have to store facial recognition information?
Another good question. So that is something that we will be configuring to be able to toggle on and off. I know I think in stranger mode, Paul, does it store the picture of everybody or is that something that we're going to add to toggle on and off?
Yeah, we plan to have a mode where we can disable entry logs, but if you choose not to use an employee database and only use guest entry, it will log a security entry time and a picture of the entry, but we're going to make available soon an option to disable taking the picture.
Okay.
The next question asks, how is the data collated and collected for review? Where is it stored?
It's currently stored on the device, so you can go to the unit with a memory stick and download it if you want. Paul, can you, if this is connected to the internet, is that something you can download to a like cloud-based folder, or do you need to put the memory stick in at the device? Obviously, before you answer, obviously with M0 Manage, you'll have that data, as Paul said, either in the hosted environment or a premise-based environment on the server itself.
Yeah, so there's an export option. So you'd have to go to each device and click export. It takes a few seconds to copy to a connected drive, so you need access to the USB, and then you can collect the entry logs. They'll all be consolidated automatically and reported as they occur with a centralized M0 Manage.
Okay.
The next question asks, is there a rough timeline for the release of the Windows unit? Would the cost be similar?
Yes, we're trying to keep the cost very similar. So, and Paul, I know you have a team dedicated to this piece, and we have some great partners working on this with us as well. This is probably going to be, Paul, are you thinking the July timeframe for the Windows version, or is there an opportunity to maybe get that in sometime in June?
It's probably July, but we'll keep you updated if anything changes.
Okay.
We are working as fast as we can on that particular
Yep.
solution.
Next question asks, how many simultaneous readings are able to be achieved?
This is designed for one at a time.
Next question asks, is the countertop sold with a battery?
No, the battery option, which will be available for, I believe, for all of the solutions, is going through UL testing at the moment. So we did not want to bring that to market without the UL certification on it. It is a lithium battery that will have, I think, anywhere from 10 to 14 hours or so. And I think we can add cells to up that time if needed and still keep it under the certified product. That is underway, has been underway. We'll post an update to the product page this week.
Next question asks, is M0 Manage the only way to centrally manage the tablet? Is it a cloud solution? Is there a fee?
Yeah, so it's a cloud solution, and again, hosted in our facility, or an on-premise solution, secure solution, because obviously there are some other options out there which are not in the least bit secure. So it's $295 per unit per year for MSRP quantity 1. Obviously that comes down significantly in volume. We have some existing clients with quite a lot of units on M0 Manage, so obviously their price on this is a lot less, but it is a tiered pricing structure, and it is per device per year for the remote administration functionality.
Next question asks, how is the device secured to the stand to prevent theft?
It's got the security screws. I don't know, Dominic, do you know the name of the security screw, or not sure if the name of the security? It's a security screw. You need a special tool in order to remove the screws.
Yeah, we've used that in a lot of our kiosks in the past, especially for tablets and such, to secure that.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Tom.
Next question asks, is the system able to integrate with existing building access systems?
Yeah, so you can integrate with the hardware kind of right out of the box, obviously with the relays, depending what those devices are. And then obviously when we have the APIs available in Manage, you'll be able to tie that into a lot of different software systems. So typically for a self-service deployment for us, we could be tying into multiple different software systems, backend systems, content management systems. You know, we've done a lot of insurance-based projects where we're tying into quote engines and a whole bunch of, you know, security sensitive data, which we've done many, many times. So yeah, once those APIs are available, then obviously there's a lot of opportunity for tying into many different systems.
Next question says, after purchase, what are the monthly maintenance or support requirements?
So if you don't have M0 managed, there aren't any. So for the first year, any updates you have, you'll get at no charge. After that, patches and you know, those things will be available. If there's a new version, complete new version coming out, that would be $150 for the new version of the software. But that's it. If you have M0 managed, as I mentioned earlier, it is an annual renewal per device, but you do get all the updates, new versions, obviously for the time that you are, you know, subscribing to that service.
Next question asks, does it let you save and download who was scanned?
Yes, it does. Currently through one of the USBs and downloading the data from the device itself in the administration screens.
Next question asks, if someone fails the temperature or mask check, how is an alert sent? Is it sent by email or text message?
It can be either with Manage. Currently, it's just an audio alarm and lights on the unit itself. And then it wouldn't obviously trigger the relays for any locks or gates, etc. But once it's in Manage, you'll be able to send that via email or text.
Next question asks, when will the freestanding model be available with a battery and casters?
Another good question. So the battery is already developed. Again, that's going through UL testing. So we'll need to post an update to the product page for that. So Melissa, if you can just note and send to the engineering team that we need an update there for the page, they'll get that to you and we can get it up. But I think it's, I mean, it's been obviously in testing for a while, and we're getting it from a company we have worked with in the past, do a lot of quality-based solutions, US-based company, and so it will be a good solution. But again, I'm not sure of the exact time frame, but we do have a lot of people wanting that so they can kind of roll these out to entrances and then kind of roll them back in. The caster option, that's just really a simple update to the base. And again, we simplify this for packaging for the sheer volume of units that we're sending out. We just kept it to the one SKU. So the base modification, and we'll sell the new base with the casters that you could easily replace on this at some point. But I'll get you a date on that. In fact, we're providing a catalog of products for this to some of our larger resellers this week, which will include the casters, the different base options, the different mounting options, the wall mount option, the graphic options, the LED light option. We have a light that you can see from all the way around the unit, which is a bolt-on option as well. But again, that's also going through UL and waiting for that to get approved. But we will post that catalog of upcoming products fairly soon.
Next question asks, can the kiosk run other applications such as customer patient check-in software?
The Windows version will, and that was the whole reason behind, kind of developing that one along with this one. This is a very, focused product for facial recognition, temperature checking. We are looking at adding some functionality to it, but the Windows version will do all of that, or be able to do all of that, I should say.
Next question asks if there is anything additional required for on-premise storage.
No, so obviously there's server. If you're talking about on-premise, like M0 on-premise, which we have quite a few clients that have that, there's some minimum requirements from a server standpoint, which our team can get you as required, but nothing really out of the ordinary now.
Next question asks, when do you anticipate UL certification?
Oh boy, I wish I could answer that question. We use UL a lot. In fact, they're only an hour away from us. They have a big facility in Raleigh, North Carolina, where we typically work with the guys there. So I'm hoping that we're trying to get it fast tracked. It is underway. So far, so good. Everything's going well so far. So I'm hoping probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks, we can have those certifications in place.
Next question asks, with M0 Manage, will you be able to import photos along with employee information?
Paul, is that something we can do? I believe it's something that we'll be able to do once M0 Manage is in play. Is that right?
Yeah, this is the importing employee records, right?
Yeah, with the photo, so you don't have to register the person at the device.
Yeah, we're working on the bulk import feature for that, and it should be available for launch.
Okay.
Next question says, physical security integration, HID procs, is not currently supported. Are there any plans to support this?
Yeah, in our Windows device, we're looking at a deeper integration with more HID products. We're in discussion actually with HID and the best way to approach that. We do have supported HID in our software before, and we'll have to see how that plays out in this particular setup on the Windows side. So
it should be on the Windows
available
side
shortly.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too difficult to do. We have an array of products that we've tied into over the years on our Windows side. The Android side, probably not, but obviously we'll take it to our engineers and see what we can do on future releases.
Next question asks, can this be managed with common MDM software, or is M0 Manage the MDM?
M0
So-
Manage takes on roles of the MDM. So for instance, it will be able to power off the unit, reboot the unit, update the specific APK for the application itself. So it takes over that role.
The next question asks, are the APIs open to integrate with? For example, time clock software, visitor management software, patient registration, etc.
Yeah. So Paul, I'm answering your question there, but yes, they will be available for that. And obviously we'll have limited resources for doing integrations because we're literally getting hundreds of integration requests a week. So yes, we will be making those available so people can do their own integrations into their systems. And then we'll also publish, obviously, a list of ongoing integrations that are being done. So if you have some software, if that integration has already been done, then that would be available to you.
Next question asks, how do the units ship? FedEx, UPS, LTL, etc.
All of the above. So we just shipped out, I think, 4 tractor trailer loads, all freight today because there's multiple units to a pallet. We are also shipping in smaller boxes. We had a lot go next day air, very obviously quite large boxes for next day air, but people are really wanting to get these quickly. So we can ship in every configuration. Our packaging suppliers, unfortunately, we're not able to keep up with our pace. So we are improvising, and we've had a few clients have some interesting packages arrive this week and late last week. Obviously been very understanding, but the units got there safely, which is the main thing. So once our packaging suppliers can catch up, we'll have our nice kind of branded packaging again. But for right now, they do go freight or small package, FedEx or UPS.
Next question says, we have multiple sites in different states. Can M0 Manage have separate photo databases for each site, or is it managed only by one?
No, so once M0 Manage is in play, you can manage the devices, and so you could have, them separated by plant, by state, by county. We have clients, obviously global clients that have it by country, state, city, and even by building. So you can separate it that way. And Paul, on the database side, so if you had employees, say New York City and employees in Tampa, but they didn't necessarily have to be on, in that database, can you have separate data for the facial recognition?
Yeah, there would be 2 accounts in that case. So we would create specific authentication for each location, and they would hold the separate databases.
Okay. Or obviously alternative, they could all share the same one. So, but yes, that can be done.
Yes, true.
Next question says, can everyone who has been admitted to the building be downloaded to an on-premises server for security purposes?
Yeah, so right now it's obviously on the device itself, so you can remove it and then take that data wherever you need to. But in M0 Manage on the on-premise solution, then yes, that's exactly how it would happen.
Next question asks, what will be the cost of M0 Manage Lite?
$295 per unit per year. Quantity, that's MSRP quantity 1. So obviously in volume that will come down. In large volume, that will come down pretty significantly, but that's the quantity 1 price for Manage.
The next question asks, what is the cost of the system? Does the cost change with multiple locations?
Well, I think obviously there's a lot of resellers out there, distributors that have the product right now. I know there's some varying pricing on the product out there. The list price of the product, quantity 1, freestanding unit, software, everything included, is $31.50. The street retail price is $28.95-ish. But obviously that comes down in larger deployments, larger volume, just like the Manage subscription comes down in volume.
The next question asks, can the kiosk be operated as a standalone device, or does it require a Wi-Fi connection?
No, it can operate with no connectivity at all.
The next question asks, can you describe the relay-based integration?
Personally, no. I can pass that off to one of our engineers. I'm not sure if we have one on this webinar, but there is some documentation on the product page. I think there's also some FAQs on the product page that go over this. But I know you've got, I think, Paul, is it 2 relays, a WiGAN connector, obviously the USBs. But I don't have the actual spec, but I think it is available on the site. If not, certainly fill out the form on that product page and just ask us for that specific specification.
The next question asks, are extended on-site warranties available?
Yes, they are, yeah.
The next question asks, does this device support being wall mounted?
It does, and that will be part of the catalog that, well, the marketing team, Melissa's team, is working on, along with the engineering team and some of our larger resellers, distributors that we'll be getting to, and then we'll post that as kind of products that are coming soon. Hopefully we can put some release dates. Some of those products are already finished and done, but again, just as the sheer volume of this, we've limited it to the one SKU, the freestanding unit. But yes, there'll be wall mount, there will be the pole mount, countertop stand, and freestanding stand. And then I think we've had some requests for smaller stands for like elementary schools for the kids. So that'll be something that we'll also add at some point in the near future.
Next question asks, if we purchase the current unit, will we be able to link to M0 Manage when it comes out? Is there an update process involved?
Yeah, so there may be an update process that we would give you that APK to do the update. But certainly all units shipping now and in the past and in the near future will all be ready to do that with just a software upgrade.
Next question asks, can these units be used at an outdoor job site?
Not recommended. They're not designed for outdoor use. Certainly don't want to have them facing into direct sunlight because you can damage the sensors in there in direct sunlight. But we do have people unofficially using them outdoors fully undercover and then roll them away, obviously, after hours, between shifts, etc. They've been having good success with that. We certainly wouldn't recommend it, but it is being done.
The next question asks, if we buy through a reseller, can we get on-premise M0 Manage directly through Meridian?
Yeah, so you can do it either way, and we haven't set that up or skewed that up in the channel yet, and we're discussing again with some of our larger groups how best to do that. So it's probably going to be an option either way.
The next question asks, what is the current lead time for the pedestal unit?
4 weeks currently.
Next question asks, is there a spec sheet available for what M0 Manage Lite includes?
I don't think so. M0 Manage, there's information on M0 Manage on our site. Really everything that it does, this will do, but the unit itself has got limited functionality, so some of those things don't really apply. But Paul, I don't think we have anything posted. Certainly the marketing team could put something together on that. It's a good question, probably something that we should start the marketing team putting together.
Yeah, we can work on a subset of that features list that you mentioned for the specific device, so we can be clear on what exact features can be expected by the subscription.
Next question asks, how long will the battery life be on the battery-powered kiosks?
Anywhere from 11 to 14 hours. I'm not 100% sure, and I believe we can add some cells to it. So we may have a couple of different options. Obviously, the freestanding unit can take a much larger battery array than the countertop. And the countertop, again, not sure we're going to have the battery array, the initial battery array for the countertops. I think the base for it would have to be too tall. But there are some external lithium battery options available as well, which some of our clients are using currently that are available off the shelf today that you can plug this in and get a pretty considerable amount of runtime out of them. But that will be, yeah, about 11 to 14 hours.
Next question asks if two-factor authentication can be used upon a successful scan, allowing an employee to swipe an access card.
So we have a contactless reader available. It's an option that's available. And Paul, I know obviously the Windows device will have a lot more options available. What is the spec of the one we have available currently in the device? Paul, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, it's a MyFair card reader. So it will read a specific specification of cards. There's a list of those specifications on our website. Some IEEE specific. I'm trying to get the list. I think I have it. ISO 14443 type A and a few other similar formats.
The next question asks, how long does the device hold temperature results?
So it has a 1 gig rolling memory for the records. So obviously that's quite a lot of records, depending on how many people are using each unit. And the older records roll off as the new ones come on. So you basically have 1 gig of rolling data. Paul, do you know what that equates to with how many lines of records that is by chance? So that may be something we can look at.
I guessed it was 3,500 records, but we don't have an exact count on it.
Okay, we'll validate that and post that on the FAQs on the product page.
Next question asks, can or how could this work for a time clock sign-in?
Once we have the APIs available, so and it's a great use for it. In fact, a lot of our current users, current clients that have the product are anxiously awaiting, tying that in. That is something that we are going to make sure that we obviously have available with this device and of course the Windows device. We see this as a great, in fact, we want to replace all of our time clocks at our facilities with these. So yes, that will be available. Depending how many integrations our team can get to, or the time and attendance payroll development teams can get to, would obviously dictate how quickly these get integrated to those different systems.
Next question asks, if someone registers a high temperature, what is the general workflow for preventing them from entering the premises?
It really depends on obviously the company that's deploying them. Ours, for instance, is everyone got obviously the COVID-19 kind of procedures that we have here at Meridian. So we have masks for everybody. We have additional cleaning going on. We have hand sanitizer everywhere. We are allowing controlled visitor visits up front in the showroom only, obviously going through our temperature sensor. It asks them to put on a mask if they don't have one. We provide one right there at the entry if they don't. But if we have anyone over 10, they have to report to the HR department where they get a secondary check. We've only had one person where actually we had the alarm go off. They did indeed have a fever. The secondary test validated that. Again, it was within 0.1 degree of each other, and they were sent home for the day, and then obviously asked to check themselves to see if they needed to go, obviously, to get further evaluation at the doctors, at hospital or clinic, etc. So it really depends on the individual company, but that's what we would suggest. It's an indicator that requires a secondary check, and then you would put whatever process or procedure in place that you see fit.
All right, and then our last question is how large will the Windows version screen be?
Well, that's the exciting thing with the Windows version. It can be really any size screen you want it to be. I'm not sure with the alerts and temperature flashing up there, you want that on like a 75-inch. But obviously it's got a lot of flexibility, which is a big reason of why we're developing it. I think the initial version, Paul, kind of the pre-built all-in-one version, what size is the screen your team are working with right now?
I can't really remember. It was, I think, 24, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I think we've got from 15.1 up to maybe 32 initially as kind of pre-built devices. But the idea is this would have a lot of flexibility. So we have a lot of our clients that manufacture computers that want to be able to kind of integrate this setup onto their existing hardware, which we'll be able to do.
All right, and that was the last question that we had, and we're coming up on the top of the hour, so good
Great.
timing there.
Yeah.
If you do have any additional questions, feel free to send them over to sales@m0.com.
Awesome. And you'll post this, right, Melissa? Everyone will get an email within a couple of hours?
Yes, 2 hours after the webinar, everybody will receive a recording of the webinar.
Awesome. All right, well, thanks everybody. Really appreciate your time. Any additional questions, just fill it out on our product page for the PMK. We'll try and get to as many of those as we can. You can imagine we literally get thousands of inquiries a day with different questions. So again, apologies if it's a little delayed with the response time, but we do get to them as fast as we can. We are adding additional resources and have done this week. So again, thanks everybody. Stay safe and hopefully we'll talk soon. Thank you. Thanks, Meridian team.